Jess are very passionate about, both board members with FGI and also educators quite heavily within the fashion realm space as well. I wanted to thank James and the Humber School for Entrepreneurship for hosting this evening. It's absolutely heritage buildings, beautiful space, so thank you very much for giving us the space. So FGI, for those, I recognize there's a lot of students in the room for obvious reasons. For those of you that don't know, FGI, world's largest fashion trade association based out of New York, 92 years, I believe. Toronto, we are 62 years actually here in Toronto. Our board members, actually the board members of FGI, can you guys all just stand up, those that are in the audience? Just so you know who our board members are, there's Sabine as well, there's a number within the room as well that you can talk to afterwards just about what FGI is as well. Also, just out of curiosity, how many here are actually students? Just a raise of a hand up, Humber. And Ryerson? George Brown? Seneca? So I'm going to leave it to Jess and Jen to introduce the panel. Jess is with UAL, University of Arts London, which, if I'm not mistaken, she's told me a million times, controlled 9 fashion schools or art schools based out of the UK. Central St. Martin's being one of the most famous amongst many, many others. And Jen is with an instructor within the School of Business here at Humber and at the North Campus here in the Greater Toronto area. So also board members, which will be moderating and controlling the evening. So thank you again, everybody, for attending.
Thank you very much, Roger, and thank you to our panel for being here tonight. This is our 7th annual FGI Career Panel. This is the first year that we've hosted it at Humber. We've hosted it at Ryerson in the past, so we're very honored to host this evening's presentation, and I hope you all enjoy the networking and take away something from this evening. So thank you everyone for being here tonight. Jess, do you want to talk about the student membership before we get into introducing the panel?
Sure. So we have a student membership that we launched a couple of years ago. And the student membership is an opportunity for you to engage with the FGI network. Student membership is at a discounted price of $40, and it starts in the beginning of September and goes to the end of August. It's a great opportunity for you to connect with other FGI members, learn more about the industry, potentially find mentors, and we'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end. But we're going to start the evening tonight to get some background information from our wonderful panelists. And I'll start with you, Paige. Why did you choose your career path or a career in fashion?
Thank you. Lucky number one. Since a young age, I had always loved fashion. I was very much into writing and creative writing, creativity, and I mean, growing up in a high school where you had uniforms, it was a little bit difficult to express yourself, but it was always something that I had really honed in on, that there was just something about the fashion industry that I loved. And I mean, mostly bloggers, celebrities, just being free and being themselves and really truly expressing themselves is something that I really gravitated towards. So I knew leaving high school and going into post-secondary that it was something I really wanted to tap into.
Great, thank you. Christine, so tell us a little bit about your background and where you started in fashion and what landed you here as a costume designer now today.
Well, my path was chosen for me. I think costume design found me because I actually wanted to be a sound engineer or a construction, like I wanted to build sets. But out of college, I got a job as a costumer because they needed somebody in theater. And I just realized, oh, well, I guess I'm good at this. I knew how to sew from my mom teaching me as a kid. And for me, I was learning with all of the really experienced women that I was working with. So the passion grew, I think, as the years went on and the projects went on.
Okay, so I should also introduce our panel, just so you have a bit of background on all of them. So Paige is an associate buyer at Holt Renfrew. Christine is a 2-time Emmy Award winner for costume design. So we're very happy to have both of you here tonight. Sabina Fenn is a graduate from Ryerson University and a fashion illustrator and entrepreneur. Next, we have Dominique Martin. She is a Humber graduate and in marketing at Cadillac Fairview. And finally, we have Bridget, and she is a multimedia host and producer and a graduate of Humber as well. So thank you. Humber for life.
Go Hawks, go.
So moving on, let's start with you. How did you choose your career path, Bridget?
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So fashion wasn't really in my sights at all. I went to Humber for journalism. I wanted to get into entertainment broadcasting, which is where I still am. But getting into broadcasting 12 years ago, it's completely changed. People don't consume content on television anymore. And so as I started, getting my bearings in the industry, I started getting into the digital space. And when I got into the digital space, I realized that fashion as an industry is one that is unique because it is found and seen in many other industries. So when I started doing my thing on set, in front of the camera, as a producer, and then as a digital content creator today, I realized that fashion is this common theme and common thread everywhere. So I started talking about it, what I would see on set, what the actors were wearing, what characters were wearing, what the latest trends are, south of the border, what's happening right here, and what we're seeing online. So that's pretty much how I found myself tied to fashion. It was through entertainment journalism.
Great. Dominique, you are a graduate from our Humber Fashion Arts and Business Diploma. So how did you find yourself and your career path now?
So I kind of felt, well, I should start off. Hi, everybody. Good evening. So I kind of fell into it. It started off as a side gig, to be transparent, going through school, university as well as in college. It was just going through different retail jobs, and with that said, I really fell into the opportunity to work with clients, style clients, the whole creative aspect. So I just ended up building on that and just really mixing it in with what I do, and then it just ended up becoming a career for me.
And finally, Sabina, how did you find yourself as an entrepreneur and amazing, incredible fashion illustrator?
We have a
So I was basically an artist my whole life. I loved painting, I loved drawing, and I sort of thought I'd have to grow up one day. And I ended up in fashion school thinking that it would be a more steady career, it would be a creative outlet. And then as I was going through school, we started learning about fashion illustration, and I just completely fell in love with it. I loved the concept. I started posting my work online, getting little commissions, and I was like, okay, maybe I can do this as a job if I put enough work into it. So I ended up joining FGI and meeting a great group of people who helped me kind of move forward and get there.
Thank you.
That's great. But all of your career paths weren't straight lined, as many students, you'll probably hear from year 1 to year 3. Fashion can be a variety of different career paths. I know for myself, fashion was not where I started, and it's not a path that I've ended up in a spirit. So what non-academic skills help you that you can hone as a student? I'm going to open this up to anybody that'd like to answer. But what advice would you give students today to work on and develop as they're going through their academic studies?
I'll say. I know this may sound pretty simple, but listening. That is the biggest skill for me when I'm hiring somebody. I need to know that they're listening and that they're taking it in, and that having ideas is incredible, and I love when people share. But it's hearing what's being said. That's what I would say is hugely important.
I would say equally observing, just kind of seeing what's going on, what the trends are, how people are sort of living differently, how the world's moving forward, being very aware of sort of the new up and coming trends.
The skill that I would say would be interpersonal skills. Working with people, really owning your skills to develop your relationship with your clients are very important. It's something that's helped me a lot. the better your relationships are with your clients, the more they'll return to you, and the better that your business, or whether it's your career, or both, will grow.
Yeah, I would definitely to add to that, say communication skills for sure. I know for myself personally, being a little bit more introverted in school and throughout my personal life, going into the buying and merchandising world specifically, you're forced to make many, many relationships and forge those relationships. So being able to communicate effectively and be concise and own your businesses and be able to speak to them confidently as well is something that's very important.
I don't know if this is a skill per se, but I've always thought about this. One of the things I wish I started when I was in school was just putting myself out there and putting my passion out there and putting my skills that I'm acquiring in school out there. Like the old adage goes, if you don't ask, you don't get. Well, if you don't show, they don't know. So I would say just start putting yourself out there. It doesn't have to be face-to-face with somebody, but whether it's making some online noise, starting your website, starting that channel, whatever it is, build it slowly, but the time to do it is now, because when you leave school, then that can serve as an online resume for your employers to see. So it's getting that head start in that small way.
Great. So as you can see, students and everyone in the panel, communication, it sounds, is very important, whether that's just listening, as Christine had said, or really, putting yourself out there, like Bridget said, and, making use of networking opportunities like tonight. We're going to ask you at the end of this networking, how many people have you met tonight? Whose contacts do you have? How can you use this for potential internships? Everyone that you meet is significant, so I really hope that you take advantage of the opportunity to mix and mingle tonight. And now we're going to move into some individual questions with our amazing panel. So my first question is actually for Paige, and it's regarding buying. I know there's a lot of interested students in the audience that instantly want to get into buying when they graduate. So here's my question to you. Students have a lot of perceived notions of what a buyer really does. Can you please tell us what you wished you had known about buying and merchandising while you were still studying at Seminary College?
One of the things that I wished maybe I was privy to back in the day, and I'll be completely transparent with you guys, I had no desire to be a buyer. It's honestly something I kind of fell into as I graduated school and I kind of was figuring out what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in fashion, I knew I wanted to be in a corporate setting, I knew I wanted to get out of retail and off my feet. And it's all a world of trial and error. You start to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what you want more of, what you want less of. And I think back when I was in school, if I had known that buying wasn't so black and white with what we learn of being analytical, product, operations, and that's kind of it. There's a whole world of other things that kind of come together aside from having to be strongly analytical and having a sense of product as well. There's vendor relationships, there's, you're utilizing your interpersonal skills, there's travel, there's marketing, there's logistics, there's so many other things that tie into just the retail math side of things, which was also not my strongest. But you start to figure out different bits of the buying world that you like, and then everything else kind of starts to fall into place. So I think as I was going through school, if I had kind of known that once you get out there in the real world and you start working and you start connecting with people and building relationships, that there's so many other aspects of buying that make up the bigger picture that you may not see in your textbooks.
That's really great advice, because I think people have a preconceived notion of certain jobs within the fashion industry. And really, I think a lot of the experience that you have, even those that have retail experience, I think it's really, really important as a fashion student that you understand the consumer from the shop floor, even if your ultimate goal is to be in a head office. And I think you really made that point well. So, Sabina, being a freelancer today, what do you wish you knew about freelancing while you were still at university? And could you explain a little bit about the type of system you've set up for yourself can stay organized and productive, because being an entrepreneur and a freelancer working on your own can be challenging. And I'm sure there's many freelancers in the audience today.
For sure. It's definitely not something that you want to rush. The biggest thing that I learned very quickly, and that you should probably learn now, is that your relationships that you have with people now are everything. I've been hired by people who I went to high school with, and one of the things that I do is keep a spreadsheet of 150 people that are like my core sort of network, and I update that frequently, and I make sure that I'm keeping in touch with those people, because your relationships will take you so much further than you can ever get on your own. And I think a successful freelance business is really built on having those relationships, even if you're working on your own.
That's great advice. Thank you, Sabina. Especially with the fashion industry, it is a small network, and you never know who one day will be your boss or who you can recommend as a colleague, and it's very significant to keep those people close to you, because you never really know, do you?
Yeah, and like another thing as a freelancer is that the people who will work with you first are the people that trust you. So if you have that very core network, and especially in the fashion industry, you don't want to do wrong by people, because people will know that, and so you want to make sure that you're maintaining good relationships and being there for other people as well, not just sort of using them as that connection.
Great advice. Our next question is for Bridget. And I wanted you to tell us how you first started as a digital content creator, and maybe talk about some of the brands that you're now working with.
Sure. Thank you. So I started using social media a lot more 6 years ago, and it seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? But I guess it wasn't. But 6 years ago was when Instagram started becoming popular. And I was like, people are just posting photos, this looks fun. But then I saw it as a visual diary for myself. And then I was dating somebody at the time, great guy, bad to say about him. He was really, really big into Snapchat, fantastic at it. And he grew this massive following on Snapchat. And I'm like, what is he doing here? This is interesting. And then brands started hiring him. This was 6 years ago. So it's new in Canada. But in the States, it started becoming a business for a lot of people. And so kind of keeping my eyes open, seeing what he was doing. And he really was just sharing stories about himself, what he was good at. He was really into animation, so he started sharing stuff like that. And then I never saw it as a business opportunity, especially because it wasn't popular in Canada just yet. But I just saw it as a tool to connect with people who were going through the same struggles as I was. And that was at the time being laid off from work. At the time, I had left a 7-year relationship, and so I was like, who am I? And then I just connected with incredible like-minded people around the world and started really sharing not only my personal stories, but my ambitions in life, and then that kind of evolved into something more. And so today I've had an amazing luxury of working with some really unique brands like Marriott Hotels, Pantene. I just signed on another year for Joe Fresh. So it's across the lifestyle spectrum, but what's important too, if any of you want to go down that route of digital content creation, it's really important to really stay true to who you are, what your beliefs are, what you're good at, because once you start doing branded partnerships, it's really easy to forget about what's important to you and look at it as just a business and look at yourself as just a business. So the longevity, I think, in this industry, in fashion, in entertainment, is really just remember why you're doing it and really what sets you apart.
And I've been following you since the beginning. And I have to say that, you're welcome, #1 follower. I have to say that the clients that she works with are very specific to who you are. You're not working with someone that wouldn't represent who you are. And I love the work that you just did with Tiff recently as well.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's been nice to see your path, and it's also been very organic. As you said, you're shaping who you are through your content, and it comes across as very genuine. And we actually went to university together, so I've watched your career path, and it's been amazing.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. And sorry, can I add a quick note just to what you're saying? This stuff takes time. So I just hope all of you remember to be patient with yourselves and really put the time in to invest in this career that you want, because it took me 4 years to see a business out of this. And it kind of goes back to what you said, Sabina, in terms of relationships. You could meet incredible key figures that will help you in your career 5, 10 years down the road. It's just important to be patient and not expect results the next day, which is why I think it's important to start now while you're in school. It's a really good time to kind of gain traction from here on out.
It doesn't absolutely happen overnight,
No.
and you're a prime example, but once you start building your brand and networking, it's quite a natural progression. So thank you very much for sharing that. Do you want to ask?
Yeah. So Dominique, just to touch a little bit on what I had just previously said about the importance of retail experience. You've had a number of jobs prior to your current role at Cadillac Fairview. How important do you think it is for anyone that's interested in working in fashion to gain retail experience, or talk about your journey that's led you to this current role today?
Yeah, so I think it's absolutely crucial, to be honest with you, because you take away so many skills from the retail industry. So when I first started, I believe my first job was Tim Hortons, just very minimum. I was just getting started, and then I kind of eased my way up. I started working at Garage for a little bit. But at that point in retail, it was more so just me coming in and selling. But I really wasn't owning all the skills of clienteling, which I believe is crucial, which is a skill you'll get from working on higher end retailing environments. So then I started to work at Kate Spade, I worked at J. Crew, and I worked at Holtz. And the skills that I took from those different opportunities, which again is clienteling, relationship building, is what I essentially owned, and which took me into Cadillac Fairview. Because at the end of the day, you could be the most creative person, you could have the best opportunity at your feet, but if you don't know how to leverage those relationships and hear what your clients want and deliver, it kind of becomes null and void. So for me, when I was at Holtz as well as when I was at Kate Spade, I really owned it on clienteling, hearing what does that person want, what are they looking for, when are they looking for it. Okay, maybe something I suggested at first wasn't what they were looking for. Okay, so how do I get you what you want? And then using those skills, I then progressed to Cadillac, and that's how I'm able to really own on the relationships that I've made in the current position that I'm in right now.
That's amazing. I think it's such important advice, and I think sometimes retail jobs are not as valued as 5, 10, 15 years down the line in your career you may realize. I know for myself, when I went to London College of Fashion in the UK, I worked at Selfridges for 3 years while I was doing that degree. But those skills that I gathered while I was doing my degree are so important and relevant in my job today, so many years later. So I think each of our panelists, I'm sure, can speak to different parts of their retail journey and how it adds today.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is retail is so broad. There's so many different avenues within the business. Whether you're creative and you're looking into merchandising, whether you're a stylist, whether you're going into the back end of the shipping and the receiving. The world's so broad in terms of the world of retailing, and I can think of every single aspect that I got to touch on, whether it was shipping and receiving and doing stock. Whether it was merchandising, I'm talking about window display, whether it was styling. My advice to everyone, first off, is to get into retail, it's essential, but to really get the opportunity to go into all those different avenues within your shift or within your time within that company, because you'll end up taking all those skills and then putting it into whether you want to be a head office or whether you want to grow within the shop level. Either or is best, it just depends where your passion lies.
Thank you.
And also staying in touch with your professors at Humber. Dominique recently reached out in the summer, and then so she was very top of mind when we were thinking of panelists for this event. So that's also something to keep in mind for all the students in the audience. Make sure that you keep in touch with your professors and your fellow classmates. They may hire you one day, you never know. So my next question is for Christine. As a graduate from Fanshawe, as well as George Brown College, how did you find yourself in costume design? And look at her outfit. You can definitely tell that she is a costume designer.
Yeah. All of the color, give me all the color. How did I find myself in costume design? Well, touching on retail. So I worked I started in theater, and then I stopped learning in the job that I was in. And I thought, I can't be not learning at 22 years old. So I quit that job, even though it was incredible, quit it, and I went and worked at Bungalow in Kensington Market for 3 years, so that I could take continuing education in image consulting at George Brown. So I got that piece of paper to show people, actors specifically, that I knew what I was doing, because prior to that it was technical theater, and that wasn't really like, oh, she knows what she's doing when dressing me. But I knew because it was a passion, and I researched, and I just continued to educate myself. So that retail job, I still stay in touch with Bungalow. Now I go there and I get to raid the basement of period clothing.
Amazing.
So it really is about the connections. So then I sort of fell into this TV job, which is beyond incredible. I worked with a cutter in theater who was about twice my age, and they offered her the job, but she's like, I don't want to do set. That's for young people. So I actually she pushed it to the last minute, and they ended up hiring me. Fortunately, I had experience and could do the job, but I worked so hard, and you learn along the way. You ask the people you work with, don't be shy, always, everybody is a resource, and touching with the connections, genuinely connect. Don't, people can get you places, but let it be more natural. Let you actually care about these people who are in your life. I love that you have this spreadsheet. I'm totally gonna do that to keep in touch with people. But so you also have to work hard. And I think if you're in school right now and you don't have passion for something, then that's not what you're supposed to do. Everything comes from the passion. I'm actually a little bit too passionate. I've been told that because then I'm a perfectionist. But I think if you work hard and you care and you connect, you can do anything. So the sky's the limit. So if you want to be a fashion designer, I'm sure you can be. Skills, draw, practice, all that sort of stuff. I can't even tell you how fortunate I've been to be in this TV gig, because honestly, I wanted to mic people. I wanted to just, here's your microphone. That's all I wanted to do. But yet, here I am, fueled by passion and color.
I knew it was you as soon as you walked in. I had never met Christine before.
I'm so close to clown, but I think I verge on.
It's fantastic.
It's fashion.
You own what you do, right?
Yeah, own it.
It's fantastic.